Jordan is in an unenviable location, surrounded by Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Saudi Arabia. It is, however, well worth a visit. Our one-week tour began in the capital, Amman, then south to Petra, then further south to Wadi Rum, before heading back up north to the Dead Sea. The ancient Roman name for Amman was Philadelphia. We began our tour at the citadel, which has a mix of Roman, Byzantine and Islamic remains, and occupies an elevated position with great views over some of the hills over which the city is spread. Our tour also took us to this Roman theatre. There were lots of young Jordanians, mostly women, visiting the citadel, and they were very keen to be photographed with Margaret and others in our group. We think because all Jordanians have black hair, and any other colour is a curiosity for them. Hadrian's Gate is the entrance to the very well-preserved Roman city of Jerash, a short drive north of Amman. It's a very big and impressive site. We were travelling in a group of 17, accompanied throughout the week by a local guide, Sofiane. Jerash also has a large Roman theatre, where we were treated to some rather unexpected musical entertainment. The next day we travelled south along the King's Highway. Our first stop was at Mount Nebo, where Moses saw the Promised Land. Unfortunately, visibility was poor that day, due to wind blowing up dust, and we couldn't even see the Dead Sea below, let alone Jericho or Jerusalem on the west bank. The nearby town of Madaba is famous for mosaics, and the 6th century map on the floor of the Church of St. George. Continuing south, we crossed this spectacular gorge, Wadi al-Mujib, and had a look around Karak Castle built by the Crusaders. Before reaching Petra that evening. I took advantage of an early start to take this time-lapse video of the view from our hotel at dawn, looking across the magnificent landscape where Petra is hidden away. From the Petra Visitor Centre, you first walk steadily downhill for a little under a mile, before reaching the start of the Siq, which is a natural 3/4 mile long crack in the rocks, through which the 2,000-year-old city is reached. In places the Siq is about 10 metres wide, but mostly it is much narrower. The weather has carved out fantastic patterns and colours in the sandstone rocks. The Nabateans, who built the city 2,000 years ago, carved a water channel all the way along one side of the Siq. Approaching the end of the Siq, you catch sight of Petra's most famous monument, known as the Treasury. The Treasury, like most of the monuments carved into the rock faces in Petra, was actually a tomb for a Nabatean king. Petra covers a huge area, and there are options for taking camel, donkey and horse rides, but we stuck with walking. Throughout our stay in Jordan, we had clear blue skies and temperatures around 33 degrees, so long walks were tiring, but there were some shady spots and places to stop for a drink. On our first day, we walked up this track, including 800 steps, to the monastery. As you can see, it wasn't at all busy. Beyond the monastery, the trail continues to this very remote cafe with great panoramic views. Much to Margaret's delight, stray cats were in evidence in Petra and other sites around Jordan. On our second day in Petra, I, along with a few others in our group, climbed up to the high place of sacrifice. It was a steeper climb than to the monastery, but quite a bit shorter, and with equally great views. We then had a look at these royal tombs. I think what makes Petra particularly special is the blend of natural scenery and wonderfully preserved ancient monuments. That evening, we made a final visit to see Petra by candlelight, accompanied by some Bedouin music. A short drive north from Petra lies Little Petra, which used to be a prosperous suburb of the main city of Petra. As well as some similar monuments, it has one room with these amazingly well-preserved first-century fresco paintings on its ceiling. At what looks like the closed end of the canyon is a steep rock staircase with a large boulder at the top. A sign saying, "The best view in the world," encourages one to go up and take a look. And as you squeeze past the boulder at the top, you find a shop and cafe, and even a cat. Beyond Little Petra. After 2 wonderful days in Petra, we had a long day travelling. We went first south to Wadi Rum, where we went out into the desert in these 4-wheel drive vehicles, stopping first at this rock formation called the 7 Pillars of Wisdom, after Lawrence of Arabia's autobiography of the same name. A few of us made the surprisingly arduous climb up this sand slope for great views over the desert and rocks. We made a stop at a Bedouin camp for tea and shopping, and there was an opportunity for camel rides. We thought the scenery around Wadi Rum was really spectacular. From there it was a long drive north to our final stop beside the Dead Sea for some relaxation. It was much clearer than when we had been at Mount Nebo earlier in the week, and we could see right across to the West Bank and these towers in Jerusalem. We had a couple of dips in the Dead Sea, which is an astonishing 1,500 feet below sea level. It's an odd experience, and I don't think applying mud to our skin has had the rejuvenating effect we were promised. But it was a fun end to an interesting and very enjoyable trip.